Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Lamtman. I am Joseph Lamtman. Happy Thursday to you guys. Thanks for tuning back into the Real. A little under the weather the last couple of days, so bear with me today if I sound a little under the weather because I am. But getting better. I feel a lot better today. I'll be fine by tomorrow. But anyways, welcome back to the Real. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button for me. And everyone, please hit the like button for me on the way in. I really appreciate that. It helps me fight the algorithms and all that stuff. Excited about today's show. My man Mike Antonace is going to join me today. We're going to talk about, we're going to preview week 2 of the NFL coming up. We got the game tonight between the Vikings and the Eagles, Thursday Night Football. We're going to obviously talk about the Browns and the Steelers on Monday night. We'll go through and play another game, pick 'em, of the games we like. Coming up this week, what games we like that stand out to us, and then we'll pick all the games and who we think is going to win. But for the first about 15, 20 minutes today, I want to talk about an anxiety topic on rebuilding relationships, as you can see on the ticker down below. Why I wanted to talk about this, because this really stands out to me, really connects home with me. And rebuilding relationships post-anxiety. For me, I went through an anxiety disorder for 7 years, right? And for 7 years, almost 8 years, really, it was 7.5 years. For 7 years, my life in terms of relationships with friends, family, and people were very distant, very long distant. And a lot of that was due to because I lost a lot of trust, not only in myself, but in people around me. When all that stuff happened to me at 15 years old, my disorder went bad and had a bad experience in the summer with playing football and school and just went from doing something every day to all of a sudden I'm home alone by myself every day. Didn't know what to do with my life. Complete 180. I could leave my house. I lost trust in a lot of people. I lost trust in the people around me because I felt like the people around me let me down because I felt they didn't understand what was going on at the time. Nobody knew, which I mentioned many times before in the show. And I always use my story as an example to see if you guys can relate. I lost trust because I felt they didn't know. All my parents, my coaches, my teachers, everybody knew just what they knew, if that makes sense. They didn't know how to really handle anxiety because we really don't in society, especially here in America. Our first line of defense in terms of helping mental health and anxiety, when someone's diagnosed with anxiety or panic, hypochondria, agoraphobia, whatever it is very not good to me. It's just very, very quick. It just kind of very just we'll see you later in a way, in my opinion. But with all that though, 15, 16 years old, I lost trust with a lot of people. And because of that, it made me isolate myself. And when I isolated myself, all my friendships I had growing up, my close friends, my family, people I just met at school, everybody, I just was blocked off from the whole world. And that created a lot of long distance relationships, just, through the phone every now and then, like texting and calling each other. Sometimes here and there, people would pop in and see me if I felt comfortable enough to do it. But my relationship suffered severely. And, I didn't really realize this until once I started getting help in the last couple of years and overcame my anxiety disorder. And once I turned the page on the anxiety disorder, and I really rediscovered for myself this year, going through the program, the Inner Circle program with Dennis, the anxiety guy, what I really rediscovered with myself was just how much I was deprived of that for the last 7 years. I didn't really realize it. And it wasn't until my counselor really told me, he's like, Joe, you've been deprived of that for the last 7, 8 years of your life. That's important. What comes with community, right? That's the word really, is community. What comes with community? Love, connection, physical touch, which is very important. Hugging someone, or if you have a significant other or a relationship, many, all those things, and just connection. talking to somebody. Those are very human, like very important human needs we have that for 7, 8 years I did not have. And it wasn't until I started this podcast really, and since then I've started to rebuild that more and more. And still, it's still a continual rebuilding process for me with all that. I'm somebody who's never dated. Hopefully one day I will date, and I know I will. Hopefully very soon, whenever God allows it. But also just me rebuilding my friendships from the past, trying to reconnect with people. My man I'm going to have on today, Mike. I've met new people along the way in the journey. Mike and I met in the last really 3 years, I think, and we became one of my best friends. Corey, same thing. Jeremy, same thing. Guys who have been on the show. I've met new friends along the way, and I continue to meet new people. And so I like a lot of this too with rebuilding relationships. And I got a quick clip I'm gonna play before I bring my man Mike up here. Is you get scared of people. You can, especially if you lose trust with people. What I mean by that is you're afraid to. Well, number one, you're afraid to put yourself in that predicament again of being in a relationship with somebody, either it's with like a girlfriend boyfriend type thing or a friend or family member or whatever it is, right? If you lost trust because, like I did, you're afraid to go back in that world again because if you haven't really solved that and forgave people and made peace with yourself and reframed that and are at peace with that now and really understood why God allowed that to happen, which I had to understand, you'll always be afraid to go back and you'll hold yourself back still because you're afraid of going through that again because it was traumatic for you. It was a letdown for you. It was for me, and a lot of times you think you'll end up in the same spot you were. So we run and we continue to run and run and run and we avoid. But we miss out on God's best. We miss out on just the world's not a scary place. And God has a friend for you out there. God has a girlfriend or a boyfriend for you out there that you may marry one day. God has a family, he has people out there for you in his community. You just have to allow him to bring it into your life. And that's what I had to do. Once I put myself back out there, and for me, he was challenging me to tell the world basically where I've been, which is what I had to do. Um, and then once I did that, the doors started to unlock, and they still are unlocking. And it's a process. Like I said, I'm still in it right now. It's a process, but you have to continue to practice in that process. Practice yourself. Practice who you're becoming, and you have to. Like for me, being isolated for a lot of years, agoraphobia, I was going through, and now I'm working out of. It was really it was a challenge at first, and still it in terms of like connecting with people, like your communication skills. You're rebuilding your communication skills too in a way when you're away like that for a while, like I was, because you haven't been around people in a while, and so that's another reason why you avoid it too, because you don't really want to be around people because you think they might start judging you. Anxiety sufferers overthink everything. Oh, they're going to judge me. Am I going to say the wrong thing? Am I going to do the wrong thing? You put all this pressure on yourself, right? If you're a guy or a girl out there trying to talk to someone you like, you can start to overthink that and put pressure on yourself. And you're trying to impress this person, and you start acting a way you're not. You start saying things, and you look back, you're like, oh gosh, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Right? And I've been there. But you live and you learn, and you can't be hard on yourself because a lot of 2022 for me in the last year, really before I started the program in April, and when I finished the program in June, the Inner Circle program, was when I really was able to slow down and say, okay, because when I started the program, it was a little over a year after since I started this podcast. And so it was a chance for me to slow down after a year and kind of rethink a lot of things um, and kind of just reevaluate a lot of things, take the lessons from things I would do differently. But also everything was positive though. I had to start somewhere in a lot of areas of my life to get it going, to get me warmed up again, to get me back out there. And so it was rebuilding that communication skills, but rebuilding my relationships and rebuilding my community and all that. And it also just um, gave me a chance to really sit and realize, who do I really want to be? But also, what am I really desiring in my relationships? That's very important. And Dennis in this clip's going to share that in a minute about what do you want out of your relationships? You should want to probably connect with people usually that maybe have the same interests as you or same values as you. You want to be with people that help you grow and you help them grow, right? That's community, not the community we see nowadays in society, which is really just, especially a lot of relationships, which is really just, what can this person do for me in satisfying me, or everything's a quick fix. We're a quick fix microwave mentality society, microwave mentality society. If I could spit that out, um, we don't really try to take people from where they are and try to help them build. So the best marriages people that I know with the best marriages, relationships, are the people that started really from not really much. They kind of just took it. They took that person from where they were at that time when they met them, whatever, maybe they were going through an anxiety disorder and they met, right? Or whatever it is. I know people like, for instance, who had children early on, and kind of go through the whole, child support process, and then, because they got separated from the person they had the child with, and they go through that. I know someone who ended up meeting the same person, a person who was going through the same thing he was going through. Right? They connected, and God will do that. And there's someone out there that can connect with you, maybe in the same situation you were coming out in. But my whole point is, it doesn't have to be perfect for you to do it, and nothing has to be. You don't have to be perfect to have that in your life, because everybody deserves that. We're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to be. we're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to be isolated from society. And so I need to take a quick drink. My throat's getting dry already from this. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather today, but bear with me. But I'm gonna play this quick clip from my man Dennis and bring my man Mike up here, and yeah, let's do it. Remember, go subscribe to Dennis Simsek, the anxiety guy. I'll link this video down below. Highly recommend going and watching. So yeah, let's get to it.
Because people deep down want people around their current circle of friends or someone that's going to better them in some way. So if you're not going to better that person in some way and be on the same page as them, maybe as far as their goals and their dreams and their outlook on the world, then it's going to be very difficult. So tiredness comes back to your sleep patterns, comes back to your stimulation. How much TV are you watching? How much music are you listening to? Are you currently hanging around people that you need to audit? You need to kind of get rid of those people so that you can bring new, fresh relationships into your life, because we start to become the people we hang out with. We adopt their belief systems, we adopt their behaviors, we start to see the world that way. So it's really important that we understand that tiredness can affect that rebuilding relationship process after anxiety. And the other thing we must understand is that with this whole idea, we're first taking baby steps. Okay, we're not going to get from where we are to having 10 friends that really call us all the time and are asking us how we're doing and really pushing us to become better. It's not going to be like that for a while here. For the first couple of weeks, for the first couple of months, it's going to be like you're like a newborn child again. You're coming in and you're seeing mama and you're seeing daddy, and all of a sudden you're everything's foreign. Like, what's going on here? And you're kind of like, wow, this is an unknown world I'm not familiar with. And the dating game is changing all the time. If you're single and you want to do that, or you want to get married one day, I mean, it's a whole new world, right? And your family moves on and your old friends move on. So in this time that you suffered with anxiety, people have changed, people have altered themselves, and so we must understand that we must accept that. We must at some point dwell not dwell over the past. Oh, I wish they were this kind of person and that kind of person. I miss that about them and this about them. We must accept people as far as how they are right now, because people are always trying to grow themselves, right? And with those people, we can start to become quite jealous, right? With anxiety coming back into the unknown world, we can get really jealous. Wow, they bought that new house. Wow, they're married now, they have kids, whatever it is, they're traveling the world. And we can see ourselves as someone that's much lower than our old friends and our new relationships and such. But, seeing it in that way is not the right perception. It's not the way to go about it. We must say, people are growing and so are we. So we must accept how they are. Okay. And this is going to move us forward. Now,
Yeah, I like what he said there, and I like what he said. You're like a. That's how what I've gone through the last year and some changes. Well, year and a half now. You're like a newborn child. You're learning how to redo things again. You're learning how to try to learn how to walk. You're learning how to do all that stuff again. But I like what he said. You have to accept. And I like what he said too about the jealousy, because a lot of people, especially like there's something like where I was with agoraphobia for a long time. You feel like you were left behind. It's really easy to think that you're left behind. You're forgotten. You missed out. You haven't been able to do X, Y, and Z yet because of what you're going through. Um, so you start thinking you're behind. You start to think, you're lower than. You start to get down on yourself. It's a trick, though. That's really, it's the enemy getting in your head, but really, and it's also your subconscious mind, your fear trying to pull you back. Stay there, stay there. We think this because it thinks that's safe where you've been, just hiding away from people, because of the last experience, which is why reframing is so important. Reframing that trauma, but you have to accept, right? And when you accept where you've been, you accept what happened, you accept the things maybe that God just said wasn't planned for you, which I had to do. You accept where you are right now currently. You accept people for who they are, right? Like you said, past, present, or possibly future. You just accept. And I think, like I said, you'll find people along the way. Like Mike and I, I'm about to bring up here. Mike and I met. Mike and I are pretty similar in a lot of ways. Mike went through health anxiety disorder. I went through health anxiety disorder. You know what I mean? I didn't judge Mike because Mike doesn't have $1 million or Mike doesn't do X, Y, and Z. I like Mike because Mike's who he is. I like Mike for who he is, his character. He's a great person. Yeah, that's most important. And so my whole point is, if you just accept where you are, coming out of a disorder like I've had to, the right people, God will bring the right people along the way. If you're single like me, He'll bring the right person along the way. You never know. He'll probably really surprise you. He'll bring the right friends. You'll connect more with family members probably more than you thought you would. You'll probably find out about things about your family members you never knew. And so you just have to accept and let go, and you'll be surprised what happens. So, uh, yeah, that's my open for today. My man up here now, Mike.
Howdy.
I need some water. Welcome back to the real. Uh,
Thanks for having me as always. I got some beer.
yeah, Mike's off today, so he's chilling the rest of the day, kicking back, relaxing, celebrating the win from
Got my
a couple days
NFL
ago.
GM shirt on.
Who we got there? It's Batonio and Taylor.
Yep. Shout out to
Nice.
Homage. Make some dope shirts.
Shout out to Homage. But all right, Mike, I want to get your take on this as you've experienced a lot of this as well. You've heard my rant, you heard Dennis's video. What's your initial reaction to the topic today about rebuilding relationships post anxiety? What's your experience?
I mean, yeah, like it's weird because when I would go through like anxiety bouts, right? Like I became very insular, which concerned a lot of people close to me because naturally, just my personality, I am extrovert. Like talk to everybody. If you sit next to me at a bar, I'm gonna strike up a conversation, get to know you, and I've always been like that. My missus always says like, I can make friends with anybody. Um, so it's a concerning thing when I went through like my bad anxiety about and getting out of it because for a matter of months I was pretty much introverted and isolated myself, and which you always say it too, Joseph, is you are not your anxiety, you're more than that. And
Right.
it was it was work after I was done to like rebuild those relationships and be like outgoing again. And luckily, I've talked about my support structure before that they're all very understanding, very loving people, and they understood what was going on. And you know, some family wasn't don't live too close to kind of help, but they understood what was happening, and as soon as I was able to get the proper health, how am I proper medical treatment, health treatment, whatever you
Yeah,
want to say.
the help you needed.
The help I needed. Thank you. Yeah, it took work afterwards, and it will,
Yeah,
especially for some people like us that have dealt with anxiety that turned into like acute, agoraphobia. And said it a million times, when worst wish it on my worst enemy. And I had the luxury of being a naturally extroverted person. So coming out of it, like I was just like, you know, roses and daisies after, I was fine again.
yeah, yeah,
Just because like when I get back to my old self, my old self, the way I am, I just, I talk to everybody. I make friends with everybody. It's hard to get me to shut up. Like that's just who I
uh,
am. Like
yeah,
I'm a chatterbox.
yeah.
God gave
You just love people. That's how I was. Like a
me.
lot of people don't realize, like they think anxiety is people who fear dying. But really, people with anxiety really oftentimes have just an extreme love for life. They just love life, and they don't want to miss out on the great things that they know comes in life. And at least, especially people with agoraphobia, right? And so, but I like what you said there though about being your true self, because that's really, once you get back out there, it's not gonna be easy at first. It's gonna be a little, you might be a little rough at it. Not this was me
Mhm.
last year, right? I did some things last year personally in my private life, which you know about. That I look back on, I'm like, okay, maybe I would have did that a little differently, but maybe I wouldn't have said that did that. But it's okay though. Like it's not. I meant, as long as your intention was good, obviously, right? You meant well,
Yeah,
but it's part of learning. You're not going to be perfect at it at first, and you just take the wins and you take the lessons, and you just keep moving forward. And if God has a plan, it's gonna happen. No matter what, we don't control anything. His will be done. So no matter what, and so it's really just a matter of having grace upon yourself, trusting the process, and just putting into practice who you really are, your true self. Put it out there, put it into practice. Right. It's like you said, when you got back around, it was a little odd at first. It was been a while, but after some time, though, you got back to being Mike again, and you got back to
yeah,
probably a higher version of Mike.
absolutely. Because I had been through the worst of it, and like now it's like I'll have fleeting moments of like intrusive thoughts or anxiety, but like now it's as if like that like whatever's causing it in the moment is completely conquered. So like you said, I'm a better version of what I was before, and I just rolled my ankle getting
Yeah.
up. You know,
Oh man, Mike needs a pack of ice now.
yep,
Uh, just rolled his ankle getting up, but no, I like how you said that, and totally. I think we've both gone through it. There's been days in our both of our disorders. We have friends, that mutual friends. I remember there's people that have called me in the middle of the night for asking for help, and I think that's like the one thing that like you and I would both say that to get to, if you really want to grow your community, is try to become the person that people can trust. And what I mean by
yeah,
that is become the person that people can count on. Like you're so outgoing and not afraid to tell people where you've been and what you've gone through. But it's not your identity. It's not like we sit and talk about our anxiety either. But that's the past. Like we talk about what we want to do now currently. We encourage each other. What I mean, help build each other up. But when you start becoming a person that someone can reach out to or rely on, no matter if they need it, and whenever they need help, right, in any moment, you start becoming that person. You start, and because you allowed yourself to be vulnerable. I think vulnerability is very key in growing community and rebuilding relationships, which I know you've experienced as well. Um, Sometimes it's not easy, but being vulnerable really unlocks that even more. It grows your relationships even deeper, and just grows you more as a person. And I think the more you become that kind of person that people feel like they can approach and ask for help or call in the middle of the night or just feel comfortable around, it grows your community even more because start become more comfortable in yourself.
right, yeah, no, I agree.
But all right, well, that's our. You got anything more you want to add on this, Mike? You got anything else you want
No,
to add or
I think you put a great point.
point?
You put
Great
the
point. Yeah,
nail.
but yeah, and But anyway, if you guys ever need any help, my contact's down below. You can find Mike on where can they find you, Mike? If anybody wants to reach out to you.
You
Even
can
the
find me
dog.
on
Yeah.
Twitter, on Facebook, all that good stuff. I do not use Instagram, though I have an account.
Yeah, you never use Instagram, but
And you can also find Molly on Twitter.
yeah. Also, if you guys have any questions, feel free. You can contact the Anxiety Guy down below on Instagram, Facebook. I think he's on Twitter as well. You can find his email. Go check out his programs. All that's linked down below. Go check him out and reach out to him. He'll get back to you. If you have a question about anxiety, I'll get back to you. Feel free. And, let yourself be vulnerable. You never know where you'll end up. But when we come back, we're going to do a little NFL Week 2 preview. We're going to talk about the Browns Steelers on Monday night. I know Mike's fired up about the next segment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to let Mike actually lead the next segment because it's his favorite. And, when we come back, Michael K. Cabot will join us, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control. A saying my dad used to always say was, man plans while God laughs. I had a plan for my life. Like, I was going to be, I'm talking about from as soon as I can remember my first thought, I'm going to be in the NFL. I'm going to be, a quarterback.
Right.
I'm going to, my life was made.
I'm going to have all this money. I'm going to get any girl I want. I'm going to have all these cars.
Yeah.
Hey, that's going to be good.
I'm talking Beyonce is going to be like, hey, what are you doing today?
What's up?
Then Rihanna tomorrow. Like it was this plan I had for my life. And as I got older, obviously the plans got smaller, but I still continue to plan. Something that I do now, and I would recommend everybody doing, every single night when I pray, what I used to do was say, God, allow me to pass this test. God, allow me to, meet this girl. God, allow, this date to go well, this day to go well. When I go to sleep every single night, what I pray for is for God's will to be done. Because he obviously knows what he's doing. I don't. Because if I knew what I was doing, I would be, I wouldn't be talking about Baker on the Browns. I'd be on the Browns right now. If I knew if I followed my plan, Beyonce would be hitting me up. She hasn't hit me up. I must have missed that call or something.
She don't want some bake.
Right. She doesn't want the AMP producer. She has a billionaire husband or something. It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time. It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control. From the moment I wake up, God is in control. So
All right, welcome back. Time to bring my man Mike back over. I got my hater blockers on. So it's time to talk about some Cleveland Browns. Bring my man Mike back up here. Mike, seeing a lot of love now for the Browns. All of a sudden, all the same people that were hating on the Browns, talking shit, talking smack, going into the season. All of a sudden now they're on the bandwagon slowly but surely. Stephen A's got us number 4 in his power rankings. I saw
Stephen A. Smith, a Steelers fan.
A Steelers fan. The mighty Steelers. Everybody was so high on going into the season. It looks so good now, does it, Mike?
No, and here I never understood the Kenny Pickett hype. Never understood it. The distance between Steelers fans sounds eerily familiar. And when I say that, I mean because we were doing it in this city for 4 years with Baker Mayfield. I saw Steelers fans on Twitter, big Steelers pages, fan pages, that were making excuses for errant passes, saying, oh, it was a bad play call. Oh, the timing was off, this, that, or the other. And I'm like, God, that sounds so familiar. So Steelers fans, hopefully your franchise knows when to dump the lame duck when the writing's on the wall. Because I was not high on Kenny Pickett. He didn't have a very impressive rookie season. He had 7 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. There was no inkling that he would be elite. Kenny Pickett is a Baker Mayfield quarterback. He is a Kirk Cousins quarterback. But I would say Kirk is maybe a little bit better. He could be
He's a Daniel
ceiling,
Jones, Kirk Cousins kind of guy.
His ceiling is like, Daniel Jones or maybe a Jerry Goff type. And that,
as bad as Daniel Jones looked in week 1, I still think Daniel Jones is actually better in some ways, to be honest.
Well, yeah, because Daniel Jones is still athletic. He has the ability to use his legs.
Daniel actually does some things well if you look at his tape. Like I watched Coach JB broke it down. He's not saying he's the best quarterback in the league. I'm not saying that, obviously, or he's top 10 even. But
he definitely should have paid him.
No, but he does do some things pretty well. I think he's good enough if he keeps getting better. I just, obviously Sunday night was a bad night for the whole team. But no, I agree with you. And I do think, though, watching the Steelers tape and just listening to what people were saying, watching it closely during the game, it sounds like there's a problem, though, in that offense with Matt Canada, the coordinator. Not a great play calling at all. No. Obviously, I know your play has to be a lot better, but it does not sound good with the whole Matt Canada OC experiment. And now we look ahead to Monday night against the Browns. I mean, Cam Hayward's out on defense.
Deontay Johnson's out on offense.
Johnson's out on offense. I mean,
he's their second best.
Yeah, and the way our defense looked and our corners, I mean,
how their offensive line looked.
Our offensive line, which has been a problem for a long
years.
Time. Yeah.
And they have added people. Let me add real quick one thing before you finish your thought.
I'm going to take a Ricola. Go ahead.
The thing that people don't understand about O-line is O-lines are not like, we're going to add X, Y, and Z player, and it's going to be fixed. Look at the Bengals. They added Orlando Brown, thought that was going to be the solution. Not the case. The O-line is an absolute unit. You need to be cohesive. You need to understand what the guys next to you are going to do. You got to understand how you're going to motion, where the spacing is going to be, all that good stuff.
You understand your quarterback. You understand where he likes to
understand
drop
your
back,
quarterback.
where he likes to step up, where he likes to catch the ball, where he likes to look at. Not to cut you off, but look at what happened Monday night with Aaron Rodgers. They put a guy out there in Brown, Dwayne Brown, who hasn't played all camp. The other guy who played all camp and played well, they didn't even put him out there. Who's the guy? The other left tackle they should have put out there. He works with my guy Matt McChesney, 6-0 Academy. Shout out to Matt. No. He's the right. Let me look at
Mekhi Becton?
No. Let me pull it up. But they had a guy who played. I don't follow the Jets as closely, so I can't remember his name.
I just named 3 Jets.
Billy Turner. Billy Turner played all camp, has a great connection with Rodgers, from what Matt was saying. Matt would know because he knows Billy. And Matt was saying the same thing on Coach JB. He's like, why are we rolling a guy out there who hasn't played all camp, all preseason? That's what happens. He was trying to do a cut block. Number one, I don't know why they were calling cut blocks in that scheme early in that part of the game.
All over too.
The report comes out now too that the report came out after that Aaron was like bitching about it all week, that he didn't want to do that, and he was mad about it after the play calling, which is kind of odd. Nathaniel Hackett still went ahead and did it when no reason why Nathaniel Hackett's there is because Aaron is there, if we're really being honest. But yeah, it's just all across the board. I mean, your offensive line support, but you can't put a guy out there like that. And now I'm kind of writing on the Jets thing. You can't put a guy out there who hasn't played and call cut blocks, and he completely botches the block itself. Look what happened. I mean, look what happened with Joe Burrow. They put all that money in that line. Joe Burrow had the worst game of his career. Josh Allen, not great. I mean, just all across the board. The play in week 1 was very atrocious all across the board, to be honest. But back to your point about the O-line with the Steelers. I mean,
O-lines take time to mesh, and it can take a year for an O-line to mesh. And they added a lot of new pieces across that O-line, and I don't see them holding up. I don't think they're going to be good. They're bad in run blocking. They're bad in pass blocking. They're bad. Their weapons are okay at best. they, you know, Najee Harris isn't it. He's not going to get a second contract. He's at this route, and somebody pointed out, I think it was Quincy Carrier, and I watched the tape back, and it's true. Najee Harris has no burst in the second level anymore. He looks slow game one, slow. You know, and he doesn't play as big as he is. And I think Jalen Warren is more talented at this point. I don't see. And here, the Steelers' defense is going to be good. It's always good. They gave up 30 to the Jets. I think they're going to play us a little bit tougher.
They just gave up 30 to Brock Purdy too.
Yeah, Brock Purdy, who actually looked great, but yeah, I just don't see it. I never saw the hype for the Steelers. I don't know if it was like an outright like they believed in the team thing or if it was legacy, because it's just I don't see the talent. I don't see it there. You know, I respect Mike Tomlin. You know, I respect their defense. TJ Watt's great. Alex Highsmith, very good. Minka Fitzpatrick, very good. Cam Hayward, one of the best interior linemen in the league. Unfortunately, he's injured, but like, I never saw it. And then you have a Browns offense that, if you watch the tape, could have scored 40 plus points if the weather permitted. Guys were open all day long. I didn't even talk about the Steelers secondary outside of Minka Fitzpatrick.
What do you got? Joey Porter.
Joey Porter Jr., who has potential, but he's a rookie. It's going to be week 2, and the ghost of Patrick Peterson, who didn't even look like he wanted to be out there. He was covering nobody. He was having a terrible game. Brandon Ayuk had that man in hell. That man was he had that dude absolutely just shaking. Like, Brandon Ayuk looked like prime Randy Moss when Patrick Peterson covering him. That was awful.
Yeah, you got. You'll see.
Their corners have always been bad, though. Their corners have never been good. I can't tell you the last time the Steelers had a star corner.
Yeah, I'm looking at their cornerback
linebacking core is also bad.
I'm looking at their cornerback room. You got Joey Porter, Desmond King, Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace. Kane? Yeah, Levi Wallace. Then in the back end, you got obviously Minka. And who's their other safety? I can't remember. I think maybe Neil. They got Neil, Riley, Thompson. I don't know. I don't watch Steelers much, but obviously everybody knows Minka. But yeah, I agree. In the linebacker room as well, you're about to break that down.
Yeah, it's not very good. They have an undrafted guy starting, if I'm not mistaken.
They got Quan Alexander. They signed. Ogunjobi on the front line. But yeah, I agree. Defensively, though, they're always solid just because that's what the organization's built on is defense. But I just think the offense, man, is so bad. I don't see how they can really. The O line's bad, and our defensive front going against their O line, I think, is gonna be a problem. Because I don't know. Look what we did to the Bengals. They put all that money into their line, and that wasn't very good. You imagine what we're gonna do to the Steelers. Yeah. I just don't. Plus, our corner. I think what makes our defense go is just how good our corners are.
Yeah,
we have the best. We have the best corner trio in the league. I don't think it's even close. When healthy, Denzel, Greg Newsome, and Martin Emerson. I think are the 3 best, and they all play. They complement each other so well. All 3 of them. They play with attitude. Schwartz has got that whole defense playing with a swagger right now. And then not only that, Grant Delpit, you're gonna have Juan Thornhill back. Is Juan coming back this week? Michael K. Cabot?
He didn't practice today, but he's day to day. So if he practices next couple days, he could. But I don't know.
He's got an extra day to heal this week too because they're not playing Sunday. So we'll see. But even that, Rodney McLeod still stepped in.
They just want to be careful.
Yeah, I don't think you have to rush him back for Kenny Pickett. So, and the way Grant played, I thought was really good. But I want to ask you that. The only thing I could see is just a heavy load of Najee Harris and maybe Pat Freiermuth, maybe they're gonna try to force the ball to George Pickens. I just don't know what's going to work for Pittsburgh.
I think obviously they're going to have to either try and capitalize on the run game, or try and dink and dunk it, nickel and dime it up to the end zone, see what they can do, because you're going to have to get the ball out of your hands quickly with that pass rush, and it's just a matter of is anybody going to be open? Is Kenny Pickett going to be able to make the throw? Because he made some bad throws when he had people wide open.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Steelers will play better, but I don't think they will. I don't think they're a good team. I think
I don't either.
they have a good defense, but I think their offense is so bad it brings them down. And offensively, I think, with the weather being, if it is going to be better, it's supposed to rain Monday night. We'll see. They say it could be clear, could rain. Who knows? But if it does rain, I trust our run game and our running quarterback more than I trust.
Same thing that happened last week.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and here's the thing.
Especially with Cam Hayward out.
Right. And if it's clear out, like, I'm not worried.
I think with clear out, you're going to see Deshaun make a lot of those throws he probably wanted back. He usually does make. I think some of that was nerves. I think it was the wet ball, and I think some of it was just nerves. To be honest with you, he hadn't played in 2 years.
If they have Patrick Peterson covering Elijah Moore, I mean, Patrick Peterson playing slot, so if he's covering Elijah Moore, he's going to get smoked. Amari Cooper is getting covered by who? Joey Porter Jr. is covering Amari Cooper. And
Quan Alexander on the other side.
Yeah.
And you still got.
I just don't.
I think you're going to see a big game from the Njoku on Monday night.
I think
this really helps. I think this game, the matchups, I think fit into the Njoku. I think with the play action, him run across. He's very good running across the middle. Very athletic in the red zone. But I think Deshaun, though, is just going to have a great game. If it's clear out, which I don't care if it even is clear. I mean, it's usually not an excuse anyways. I just think I'll have a better game in general. I think.
A bunch of star quarterbacks played bad week 1. I mean, look at, Lamar Jackson had a bad game. Joe Burrow obviously had a bad game. Josh Allen had an atrocious game. I would take Deshaun Watson 10 out of 10 times over.
I wanted to transition that because I think the week 1 performances all across the league is probably the worst we've ever seen in a week 1. It was that bad. The quarterback play was atrocious outside of maybe Tua and who else played? There was another guy, I can't remember, maybe Justin Herbert, maybe, in the same game. Tua had a phenomenal game. But outside of those, 2 guys, everybody just played terrible week 1. But it was
Jalen Hurts.
It wasn't
against McCorkle Jones.
and it wasn't just the quarterback play, Mike. It was just the play all around.
And week 1's always a little weak.
Yeah, but I think you're seeing a problem though. Like, we'll go to the Aaron Rodgers thing because it kind of goes together in a way. When I was ranting about earlier, you put guys out there that haven't played all preseason. That's the result you get. You get Brown there trying to do a block. He hasn't performed in or practiced or repped it out, going against the guy on the other team in a Monday Night Football game. Look what happened. Now your star quarterback you just gave all this money to got hurt. And number one, you should be playing on the MetLife turf. It looks like it's a disaster. Guys should not be playing on turf, but that's a whole other topic. But this is the problem. I think this whole rest thing, this whole sitting out thing in the preseason, it's gone a little too far. Because I played football growing up, and many guys, ex-players I listened to this week, the guys that played pros, like Matt and some other guys, your body has to get trained to take that contact. Football is a combat sport. You can literally take your hands and assault another human being, and it's allowed. All right, it's a combat sport. It's abuse. Your body has to get used to that.
Yeah.
That's why there's training camps so grueling in the heat. That's why you play preseason games. Doesn't mean you have to play all the preseason, but you have to rep it out. I think what you saw over the weekend, and I think the whole rest thing, the whole sitting out, it's gone a little too far now. And you're seeing a lot of former players coming out and saying it too. Like, your body has to get used to taking those hits. You cannot just roll out there like Brown did and just try to do a block on a pro end.
Yeah. And there's a give and a take because the Steelers look great in preseason. And they're absolutely
they're not a here, I
they're
like
not
Mike Tomlin, but they're just not a well-coached team right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially
and let me add, I know I said it in the last. Yeah. I know I said it on the last stream, but even Steelers fans will agree with me. And I know you're watching. You don't even like Matt Canada. You wanted him fired last year. And I see why. The man's a bum. I could call a better offense from my couch. I bet you could too, kind audience member. Like, I don't understand how that man's
Canada,
job.
and I think Ken Dorsey in Buffalo has
Oh,
not
God.
worked out yet with Josh Allen. Now Josh Allen just needs to clean up his play. I mean, 3 interceptions, and some of those. I was on the phone with you, Mike, and some of those throws he had
3 interceptions and a fumble.
but some of them though he had easy completions in the flat, and he tried to force it into cover 2, double coverage, and it's just
here,
like,
with
what are you doing?
Quarterbacks like, and I watched back the tape. Like Deshaun had some easy completions. And elite quarterbacks want to make the big play. They want to make that throw. But sometimes, you got to have that discipline to understand when to take what the defense is giving in, when not to. I think Deshaun has great decision making when it comes to if he's getting blitzed. He can read a blitz very well, like that drop pass to David Bell. He wasn't covered because of the blitz, threw it right to him, right in the chest. David Bell dropped it. But I'm excited for Monday night though. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think the Steelers are going to be more competitive than they were week 1, but I still think we're going to come out with a dub.
I agree. Before we move on to the pick'em, I want to go back because we're kind of recapping the league too in a way. We talk about how I think why we see a lot of injuries, and I think why we're seeing guys, the performance was so bad in week 1 because guys aren't playing as much and leading up to it, practicing as much. But I think also too, one of the things that really stood out to me is just how pass happy, how one-dimensional a lot of these teams are. Like Cincinnati looks very one-dimensional. Buffalo looks very one-dimensional. I thought that maybe the Jets could be a very balanced team because they could run the ball. Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, and they both played a hell of a game still Monday night. Garrett Wilson, one of the best catches I ever saw, tapping across his body, one hand. That was crazy.
Could have been picked.
I think the Jaguars could be a balanced team because they have the pieces. I think Etienne's starting to look how he did in college. They have a pretty well balanced team there. Trevor Lawrence is on the merge, rising to maybe becoming a top 5 quarterback by the end of the year. But a lot of these teams, I'm like, that's what stood out to me, just how one dimensional a lot of these teams are. And I just don't think that you can. I mean, hold on, I think Mike will be back in a second. You cut out. But no, back to I'll wait for Mike. But the point I was getting at though, just how one dimensional a lot of these teams looked, and just how, like Cincinnati. Hold on, I think Mike's back.
Whoopsie.
But no, like I was saying, like I told you, like Cincinnati, the way they looked in that game, they looked like a high school team. They're just they can't run the ball. Buffalo, same thing. It's just like
got a lot of teams.
I'd said this to you in the preseason. Like you're seeing like the running backs just kind of really getting exiled a little bit, like to where.
I thought that was so dumb. Like, how do you pay a man like Daniel Jones, but you don't pay a man like Jonathan Taylor? Like, don't make no sense to me. But
I'm very grateful we got Nick Chubb and a good offensive line.
Yeah, me too. The most quiet.
Last thing I want to ask you though. Well, no, that's what I was going to ask you about. What do you think about that? Just the one-dimensional teams you're seeing, just like it just looks bad out there. The product just look bad, like just.
Yeah, I mean, when you make your team, like you're handicapping yourself in some way, right? Like when the conditions were bad in the Browns-Bengals game, and it became apparent that to get into the red zone to score points, you had to be able to pound the rock, and the Bengals cannot do that. The Bengals don't have a good O-line; they can't run block. And Joe Mixon, who I think is an above-average back, but he's not anything to like write home about, and their offensive scheme doesn't have a lot of creative run concepts. So you mix all that together and you have to throw the ball. And then once you get to the fourth quarter, when you lose the opportunity to pound the rock in bad conditions, because that's what you had to do to get in the red zone, then you have to throw the ball in bad conditions.
Yeah,
and you become one-dimensional in a worse way.
Well, I think though, the point I'm really getting at though, Mike, is what my larger point, what I'm going to ask you is, these teams are being built a certain with the NFL. I'm not saying these teams. The NFL as a whole, I think, has taken a step back because it's the game, the play itself, because they're trying to cater to non-football fans. They're trying to cater to non-football fans, get them engaged. You got all the gambling stuff now. The fan,
Well, yeah,
I think,
I mean,
which is good. I'm not saying fans could be fans, but I
Yeah.
think it's affecting the game in a lot of ways because you're trying to just let the leagues push for teams to score a lot of points. I just think it's bad football, though. You're seeing a lot of bad football being played, a lot of bad, just one-dimensional, just gimmicky styles that I think the game itself that's been around for so long, it's built a certain way. That's why I think the Browns have a legit shot this year because they're a very well balanced team.
Yeah, they are very, very well balanced.
I just think a lot of these teams, though, the league itself, you're just seeing what I'm really asking you is just the product itself. It just looks like it's taken a step back because they're trying
maybe
to
a little bit.
appease. They're trying to appease fans that are people that don't really fully care about the game as well. You know what I mean?
And maybe it has taken a step back a little bit, but I'm still, it's
No, here. I'll still watch, but like when the NFL, when the product's great, it's great. When the NFL's on, it's great. But I think what you saw last week, I just hope it's not a continuing trend because we've seen it more and more throughout the last couple of years. And I think that's why you're seeing too, like the players, guys sitting out, guys not, look like they're taking it serious because and you can't sit out and you can't play football half speed. A lot of these guys are just playing half speed. You get hurt playing half speed. That's why you're seeing the injury rate's so high right now. Guys are sitting out, not preparing their bodies, and they're going out there playing half speed. And it's just, to me, it's a reflection of of the league itself and where the league's trying to target, where the league's, trying to target the money, which I get, you got to make money, but the game's the game. You got to respect the game. I don't know. I don't know. I just saw a lot of bad football this weekend. Just a lot of
I get you.
last week. And as a football fan, and I've heard a lot of ex-players really upset about it, and they should be because the guys that really put time into that league and sacrificed their bodies. That it's a shame to see how it's trending in some ways because it shouldn't be that way. But that's a little other side rant. But we're gonna move on now to Pick'em, week 2 style. Let's see. Let me pull it up on the screen. Actually, I need to stop that one. Okay, I'll pull this one up. Mike, before I pull up off the top of your head, you got any other games? We'll start with tonight's game, the Eagles and Vikings on Thursday Night Football. What do you expect out of that game?
I expect the Vikings to have a better operation, but I still think they're going to lose, but I don't think they're going to look nearly as bad as they did. Kirk Cousins had an awful game.
Yeah, how did they lose to Baker and the Buccaneers at home?
Oh, he turned it over a bunch. And in the second half, after Justin Jefferson in the first half had over 130 yards receiving, they just stopped targeting him. So I don't know why they went away from that. The Eagles are going to win, but I think we'll see. The Vikings are obviously in a weird spot. They're in a weird rebuilding state.
The guy I said though, Jordan Addison had a pretty good game.
He did. I like the receiving.
I like
the receiving. Great. It's just Kirk Cousins, that O-line, and that awful defense.
Yeah. Thanks for giving us Dalvin Tomlinson. We'll take him too, by the way. And Zadarius Smith. Yeah. Thanks. Anybody else you want to send over that's good? We'll take him. But yeah. Yeah. We'll take it. Man, Zadarius Smith, he had a great game. First play of the game, it was just off the bat. But
at the time.
Yeah. But all right, let's get to it. Week 2, pick 'em. Start with tonight's game, Mike.
But Eagles. I think it's going to be competitive, but it's the Eagles.
I agree. I expect Minnesota. I mean, you lost to the Buccaneers at home. You better play competitive tonight. You got some major league problems. So I'm gonna take Philly though. Shout out to Connie, Grandma Connie. I know you'll be watching on your Eagles. I'm taking your Eagles tonight. Yeah, I think the Eagles win. I agree with you, though, Mike. I think it'll be a competitive game. I think they pull away at the end by 10. One of those type of deals in the fourth quarter. All right, on to Corey's Falcons, who Desmond Ritter looked solid in League One, Mike. He was balanced. He didn't force anything. He was.
Ritter looked awful. It was the only reason they won was Bijan Robinson.
But I thought Desmond, though, when you looked at Desmond's stats, you looked at his game. I didn't think it was. Not saying he was great, but I thought he was, for his first start, he was okay. He was a little more balanced. He didn't try to force a whole lot. It was a really conservative approach from Atlanta. So, if I pull up the stats too, I think. Let me see. Yeah, 15. Yeah, he was 15 to 18, 1 touchdown, 6.5 yards. So he wasn't. He was pretty balanced. He was pretty efficient. I thought it was solid, to be honest with you. Green Bay and Atlanta. Who you like, Mike?
Green Bay is going to destroy him. I think Jordan Love might actually be real. I mean, that was a great first game from him. I think that Green Bay defense looks insane. You know, maybe finally, Green Bay has a top 5 NFC defense after, you know, spending all those first round picks.
Yeah.
Lucas Van Ness had his first sack in his first game. Devontae Wyatt had a sack. You know, Kenny Clark was getting pressures. Preston Smith, and like they were covering well. And if that offense keeps firing on all cylinders and they get Christian Watson back, I just don't see the Falcons even like competing against the Packers in Green Bay, no less.
No, it's in Atlanta.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure that's a home game.
No, it's at Atlanta.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Green Bay's gonna win though.
You know what? I think if I was a betting man, I would bet Green Bay, but I'm gonna take the Falcons just for Corey because they're at home, and Green Bay's got to go on the road 2 weeks in a row. I'm gonna say Bijan has a great monster game. Maybe Kyle Pitts has a good game as well. I'm gonna take Atlanta at home just for the hell of it. But if I was a betting man, I'd probably put my money on the Packers. Vegas at Buffalo. I'm gonna take Buffalo. I think they win pretty easily here. Now Max Crosby though was really probably the most underappreciated player in the league.
I agree with that.
Completely wrecked the Broncos game last week. I do think that Max Crosby might make this game a little closer. But I think Buffalo will win.
Yeah, I think Buffalo will win. I think they're going to come out piss and vinegar just because of the embarrassment on Monday night.
Yeah, Josh Allen has to play better.
Yeah.
Point blank period. But all right, Baltimore at Cincinnati. Who do you like here, Mike?
I think Cincy's going to win. Their home opener. Lamar didn't play well. I think as long as the conditions are clear, Cincy comes out, does well. Baltimore secondary's beat up. They still don't have Marlon Humphrey. Their pass rush isn't very, very good. So they're not exactly built to beat a team like Cincinnati. So yeah. I'm going to give it to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm going to take Cincinnati as well. I think Joe Burrow have a much better game, obviously, in better conditions. And I'm not really sold on Baltimore, to be honest with you. Especially Dobbins is hurt. Dobbins got hurt, right? And he's out.
Yeah, out for the season.
Yeah, so I'm not really sold on Baltimore. I don't like the whole air raid scheme they brought in with Lamar. And, Odell's coming off 2 ACLs. And he's trying to get back to himself. He's getting older. Zay Flowers had a hell of a game, but I'm just not. I don't see it. I think Cincinnati will play much better at home. I think Cincinnati probably wins this game by 2 touchdowns. Yeah. So Seattle at Detroit. I think this game will be. You're taking Detroit?
Easily. I think Geno Smith showed us that he's in fact Geno Smith. I think last year, I've said it before, I think last year was, I don't think it's going to be good, and I think the Seahawks are going to regret paying him very soon. So,
I thought Seattle would be pretty decent this year. I thought they'd actually would shock a lot of people because I do like the pieces on the roster. But week 1 was awful. I mean, to the Rams who are rebuilding. Plus, Detroit's had 10 days off. They're pretty well rested at home. I'm going to take Detroit. I do think it'll be a competitive game, though. I think it'll go down to the wire because I think at Pete Carroll will have his team. They're going to come try to bounce back, play better. But I agree. I'm going to take Detroit. And can they give Jahmyr Gibbs more carries this week, please? The guy is great.
He's on my every single one of my fantasy teams. Give him more carries.
Now on to Indianapolis at the Houston Texans, the battle of the rookie quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson versus C.J. Stroud. I think Anthony Richardson surprised a lot of people last week how good he looked for his first game. I actually thought Stroud had a good game too. I didn't think Stroud was bad. I thought he was decent statistically as well. Who do you like here, Mike?
I think Indy's going to win. I think the Texans' line is still bad, and I like Indianapolis' defensive line. I think, otherwise on their secondary is not good. I think the D-line's going to easily get pressure. And the other thing is, like you said, I told all you, Anthony Richardson's real. He looked great. So I think Indianapolis just has right now. So
I'm taking the Texans. I think Stroud's gonna have a great game against a team like the Colts. I think defensively they'll get enough stops to get it done. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a real competitive game. Maybe really entertaining as well because it's two rookie quarterbacks. But I'm gonna take Stroud at home. I'm just gonna roll with the Buckeye to be honest with you. But Kansas City at Jacksonville. I'm taking Jacksonville in this one, Mike.
I'm actually taking Jacksonville. I agree with you.
Kansas City starts off 0-2.
I do. I agree. And I think Nick Wright has it right after they lose. I think Nick Wright has an aneurysm after they lose too, because he was expecting them to go 20-0, go to the Super Bowl.
You said they're going 20-0?
That's what he said. He's already
that roster.
Yeah, you know how Nick Wright is.
I know. It's his team. I respect it, but no, I don't see that. I think this might be Kansas City's worst year they've had in a while because I just don't like this roster. The receiving room's not good. Yeah. You saw that opening night with all the drop passes. They can't run the ball. Travis Kelce's coming off the injury if he plays. He's not going to be 100%. They lost a lot defensively. I think the Lions were somewhat able to exploit some of that. And I think Jacksonville's actually a pretty good team. I think they're a young team, but they're on the rise. I think they could actually make some noise in the playoffs this year, too, if they play well. I think Trevor Lawrence is a hell of a player. I think they just got a lot of really good young talent that's starting to emerge. Doug Peterson's doing a nice job over there.
I agree.
A lot of team, too, is guys Urban Meyer drafted. Now they're just being coached by Peterson, but they're starting to play a lot better and developing. So, Chicago at Tampa Bay. Justin Fields at Baker Mayfield's house. Mike, what used to be Tom Brady.
I hope it's Chicago. I don't know. They looked really bad, though. I don't know if it was scheme. I don't know if it was just Packers' excellent pass rush. But I hope Chicago pulls it out. But really, it could be away.
I think it'll be a shootout game. I'm taking Justin Fields in Chicago. I think Fields understands. He apologized to the fan base last week after that game. I'm taking Chicago, though. They got to win this game. I think they're way better than Tampa. I think they're better than Tampa Bay. I think Justin Fields is better than Baker Mayfield when he's on. And they should win this game. So, especially after that performance last week. But LA Chargers at Tennessee. I'm going to take the Chargers on the road here.
I don't even think I should say why the Chargers.
Yeah, I agree. Giants at Arizona. Two bad teams going against each other.
Cardinals.
You're taking the Cardinals?
Cardinals were competitive, and the Giants looked like that they're an absolute train wreck.
They look like they haven't practiced at all.
They don't look like they played football.
Which they shouldn't be that bad because you look at their roster, they got a lot of good players.
They did playoffs last year. They won a playoff game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they improved. I thought they improved in a lot of areas, but I don't know what the hell happened.
They look bad.
They look like they didn't practice. They look like they haven't practiced any. Like they look terrible.
Their defensive line looked awful. Couldn't get any pressure, which I don't understand. The Cowboys' O-line's not that good. You have Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari. They have a good defensive line. I don't get it.
Brought in more offensively. They brought in more speed. Brought in Paris Campbell. They still have Wandale. They got some other guys, Sterling. They got They brought in the tight end Darren Waller's one of the better tight ends in the league. You got Saquon. They should not be that bad. And so
Josh Dobbs breakout game.
You know what? I can't. I'm not putting my money on Josh Dobbs. I'm going with Giants simply because you cannot lose this week after playing like that last week. You're way better on paper than this team. I do think you have the better quarterback, and you got Saquon. I think the Giants defense will frustrate the hell out of Josh Dobbs a lot. I expect them to play better. I'm gonna take the Giants only because you better win after that performance. Or good luck reading the newspaper in New York the next day after that game. But Sam Fran at the Rams, Mike. The Rams really kind of surprised a lot of people last week.
They surprised me, but I think they get exposed. I thought the Seahawks were going to be bad. That was the point of contention between me and you. I think San Francisco smokes them, especially with that O-line against that San Fran pass rush. Best of luck.
Yeah, I'm going to go with San Fran as well. They're a pretty balanced team. You make the argument that San Fran and the Browns were the two best teams in week one, really. And Dallas as well.
Especially
yeah. I'm going to go with San Fran, too. I think Matt Stafford looks a lot better, and Cooper Kupp looked like his old. So I think both of them still had that connection, but I agree. I think San Fran wins. I think San Fran's just a more deeper team. I think they can do a lot more things. I think they can control the time possession in this game a lot too. So I agree with San Fran. Now moving on to the Jets at Dallas.
Them boys.
Yeah, I'm taking them boys too. Looked great in week one. I'm not gonna lie, they look pretty good. I think they look better than a lot of people thought. Micah Parsons is that man, that dude. I just think too, like it's interesting to see what's going to happen with the Jets the rest of the year because defensively, I think they can be pretty good. They can run the ball. They got great weapons, but then obviously their quarterback's gone now.
I think they're going to be a hard out just because their defense, but with Aaron Rodgers out, I think they're.
How do you think Zach Wilson performs the rest of the year? Do you think Zach Wilson can be solid at least? Because he showed some good stuff in flashes the other night. Do you think Zach Wilson could make them more competitive people think the rest of the year?
Like I said, at most they're an 8-win team. No, I don't think. We've seen this song and dance. I don't.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I'm taking Dallas, but I'm curious to see how the Jets look the rest of the year. Can they be a little better than people think? I don't know if I just write them completely off. Like they're just not going to be irrelevant, but I don't know. But then we got two more bad teams here, Mike. Washington at Denver.
Washington.
You got Washington?
I think they have better weapons. I think their defense is better, and I think the Broncos are just so bad.
They might have the worst O-line in the league.
They do, yeah. And, Russ isn't helping them. It's Washington.
I'm going to take Washington, too. I'm just not sold on Denver. Nothing looks good. I think they're just tanking, maybe. So, or they wouldn't mind taking, rather, for Drake May or Caleb Williams. So, I'm going to take Washington as well. I think their defense and D-line, Chase Young, all those guys, I think they're just going to wreak havoc in this game. And, yeah, Brian Robinson probably have a good game, too, in the running back. So, this one here, to me, is easy. Miami at New England. I'm taking Miami by a lot.
I'm taking an upset game.
Okay, go ahead.
I think New England wins. I think their defense is better than the Chargers. I think the Chargers poorly coached. They were competitive with the Eagles and that explosive offense. I think they're going to be very competitive against the Dolphins, the division rival. I think the Pats surprise a lot of people. I think they pull the upset and beat the Dolphins. I think it's an ugly game.
See, I don't. I just think New England has the speed to keep up with Miami. Miami's so fast on the perimeter. And Tua really surprised the hell out of a lot of people week one.
He surprised me too. The
reason why I'm picking Miami, because I expect them to carry. If you're going to be a great team like a lot of people think you could be, this is the game you have to carry it on. Such a bad New England team.
Right.
I expect them to win this game, and they should win it at least by 10. I don't think New England can keep up with them. They can't keep up with the points, obviously.
Right.
And two, I just think that the coaching staff in Miami offense was really good. They got a really good passing game coordinator. And there's so much speed on the outside. I expect them to win this game by 10 after how they looked last week.
Gotcha. I just think I don't like their defense. That Dolphins defensive line gave up 250 yards rushing to the Chargers. So
but that's also with Austin Eckler. I mean, who's running was Ramondre Stevenson gonna?
I think is one of the most underrated backs. Yeah,
I think he's good. I'm just saying, is he gonna? I don't know if New England poses the same problems that the Chargers. Because I think the Chargers offensively are pretty damn good. They got Justin Herbert. I just don't know.
Chelsea.
The New England pose any of that kind of threat.
I think New England can surprise a lot of people.
Like if there's a week to bounce back and fix your defense, it's against this team. But I don't know. New Orleans at Carolina. I think this game could be a little interesting. Who do you like here, Mike?
I like the Saints. I think Bryce Young had a decent first start, considering. But the Saints, I think they could win the NFC this year, if I'm being honest. Just with their defense and their offensive weapons, and I think Derek Carr. I've never thought I would say this is probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. So I'm taking.
Part of me wants to go with the upset here at home. Like Bryce Young can pull it off.
They're gonna need time.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's time yet. I'm gonna take New Orleans. Something's telling me just take New Orleans still, because I think Chris Olave will have a big game. Yeah, that's why I think Chris Olave is a monster game. I think, like you said, defensively they're a lot better too. So I'm gonna take the Saints. I think it could be a closer game, and I'm curious to see how Bryce Young looks again in week 2. But now into the big game, Monday Night Football, our Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got the Browns here, Mike. I think they're going to win. I think it'll be competitive in the first half. I think in the second half, you start to see that run game start to pull them away. I think defensively, they're going to cause a lot of problems for Kenny Pickett.
Yep.
I like the Browns here. I think the Browns actually can win pretty comfortably Monday night.
Cleveland Browns win. Let's go.
Well, we got to give a score. What's your score prediction here?
70-0.
Oh man, that'd be unbelievable if that happened.
Right.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stay in reality, and I'm gonna go. Shit. I'm gonna say Browns 34, Pittsburgh 17.
I like that.
So I think the last touchdown Pittsburgh scores is like garbage time.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So I think it would be a little closer up to the halftime, and then the second half, the Browns. Third quarter, I think the Browns just have like this third quarter avalanche on both sides of the ball, and just start doing what they should do. So, yeah, that's our week 2 NFL pick'em. I have to go back and see how we looked last week, what our picks turned out to be. But we'll have to keep track of that. But well, Mike, you got anything you want to go up your chest out here? Any media people piss you off today, or
Nope.
everything? Yeah, everybody's on the bandwagon now, Mike.
Yep. For now, but I'm watching you. Go Browns.
Go Browns. Where can everybody? Well, you told us earlier they can find you where? Facebook,
Twitter.
Also,
YouTube.
Mike's making some appearances on the AFC. Go ahead and plug that, Mike, so people can check you out.
Oh yeah, go check out the AFC's Roundtable. It's really fun. I go
Great
in
podcast too. Great guys, great podcast.
Yeah, there are a bunch of great guys, and I'll call in every now and then and just share a viewpoint and all that good stuff. But obviously, they're great independent creators. I'm all about supporting them, so y'all should support them too. Especially my boy Dan Mitchell. He represents the Bills. He needs all the support he can get. He had a rough week.
Yeah, real rough week. But yeah, Mike, we need to like, subscribe, you need to share this video, but please hit the like button.
Hit that like button.
Mike. Yeah.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell. Share it. Write it down. Pass the note in class. We don't care what you got to do.
Right.
Like and subscribe.
That's right. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. But all right. Love all you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And go Browns on Monday night. We'll see you guys in the next one. We're out of here.
Later.
Now.